Today's video is about improving balance by focusing on the feet. Hi, I'm Lenore. I help people reduce stiffness and pain by improving body awareness because you can't change what you're not aware of. This helps improve function so people can continue doing the activities they love. We'll be doing lots of work with the feet today, including rolling them out, bringing some sensory awareness to the feet, spreading the toes, and some other things that will help you improve your balance. And you're going to hold the strap so that it keeps your body upright. This in itself, you might feel a stretch along the backs of the legs or even in your low back. To progress from here, we want to think about tipping the pelvis forward into an anterior tilt. You can then let the spine soften. Well, hello there. I'm going to show you a little bit of something for the feet. So come into a comfortable seat. It doesn't have to be on the floor, it can be in a chair, but you want to take one of your feet. I'll just show you my left foot. So take hold of your left foot and you're going to start with your big toe. So go ahead and grab the big toe and just give it a little bit of a pull and notice that it has the ability to rotate a little bit. And then notice the space between the big toe and the second toe. And just use your thumbs here to gently palpate as you move down towards the ankle. You can start to sense a little bit of a gap between the two bones. So by stimulating this area, you're sending some sensory feedback to the brain, which helps let it know to differentiate between the toes. So you can also do a little bit of a gentle push of the big toe down towards the floor as you lift the second toe up, and then vice versa, just to create that sense of movement between the two toes. Then repeat that for the other toes. So you can take your second toe and give a little pull and a tug as you wiggle. And then same thing, create some space between the second and third toes and use your thumb to just palpate the difference, the space between these two toes. There's not a lot of space between the second and third toe because they're usually not given an opportunity to differentiate. But by doing this, it does create some space. And then continue with the other toes. What you can also do here is take your fingers and interlace them between each toe. So try to get them down as far as you can, as much as is comfortable. This might be very uncomfortable for some toes that are not used to having this separation. But once you have that there, just go ahead and take a couple of deep breaths here. And we're encouraging, again, more space between the toes. You can also do a bit of passive movement of extending and flexing the toes while they're in this splayed position. Alrighty. Okay, then let that go. So next, just extend both legs out in front of you. So you're going to flex the feet, the ankles. This is called dorsiflexion, but you're pulling the toes towards your knees, and then you're going to relax that. And then we point the toes, which is plantar flexion. So generally, the toes come along for the ride here. You point, the toes curl and flex. We pull our feet back into dorsiflexion and the toes generally extend back with that. So let's keep the ankles in this dorsiflex position, but only let the toes curl and then pull the toes back. So flex the toes, extend the toes. Flex the toes, extend the toes. Flex, extend. And then let that relax. Then plantar flex the feet, or pointing, and you'll notice my toes are also pointing or flexing. So then keep this in the ankle, but pull the toes back. So extend the toes, and then flex the toes, and then extend them, and flex them. Extend like you're wearing high heels if you're a gal, and then flex them. So you might notice some cramping happening here in your calf muscles. Calf muscles tend to be tight in general. Okay, and then just let that relax. If you do get cramping in the calf muscle, my recommendation is to flex that foot, and that will turn off the calf muscles. It'll force them to release from engaging the opposing muscle group. So when we talk about balance, we need to understand that our relationship to the earth. And what makes contact with the earth, for the most part, is our feet. So our feet provide the balance that we require. However, the problem is that our feet are usually in shoes most of the time, which prevent the muscles of the feet from working to their full potential. And the second thing is we walk on even surfaces, which doesn't provide much ability of the ankle to move or the muscles of the feet to move in unique ways. In other words, the muscles that are there available to do those actions aren't being utilized, so they tend to get weak, and this can impact our balance. So what can we do? Well, one of the things we can do is roll out the tissues of the bottom of our feet, and we're going to try that with a yoga tune-up ball I've got here. If you don't have one, you could simply use a tennis ball or any other small ball. So bring the ball to the floor, and you can use the wall here for balance. So bring your foot on top of the ball. So we're going to start with movement in a lengthwise direction. So go ahead and roll slowly the ball up and down the foot. So you want to focus on the point between the center of your heel and the ball of your foot. In other words, the tissue of the bottom of your foot, not the bones. If you go slowly, you can catch all the areas that might be a bit tender. So certainly pay attention to those tender areas, and as you go up and down, you can always stop and linger in one of those areas, maybe even give a little bit more pressure by bringing more weight onto that foot. Breathing through this, of course, will help. And make sure that you get the full, that you're not just running up and down to the middle of the foot, that you're moving out to more towards the inner edge as you go up and down, and also towards the outer edge as you go up and down. You might find some special tender areas along those lines. All right, so after doing that, we're going to now try a crosswise direction. So rubbing the ball across the muscle fibers. So you'll bring your heel will stay on the floor, and you'll bring the ball into the arch. So again, not on the ball of the foot, but in the arch, the soft tissue area, and the area that's likely very tender. So this time you'll be going back and forth, sweeping your foot to the left and to the right. So again, go slow so you can really focus on rolling out any tender areas. And just, I'll show you, we want to have the ankle participate a little bit as well. So try to think about rolling the foot so that more of the inner edge is moving towards the floor. and then roll the foot so the outer edge of the foot is trying to make contact with the floor. That's the direction I want to move, so you can see how my ankle is inverting and everting as I do this. So after you do that for a few times, just focus on one foot to begin, put the ball aside and come to stand. So from that, just notice how the bottom of your foot feels compared to the other one. Doing one foot at a time really highlights the difference for you and your brain, so we start to get a little more feedback. So the foot will likely feel a little bit more grounded, flatter, wider, and able to balance better as well. So go ahead and try that on the other foot. So for this one, you're going to need a strap or a belt or a scarf and probably a blanket that you can fold up. So why don't you come and sit on the blanket to provide a little height that will help if the hamstrings are tight. And just extend your legs in front of you. You're going to take your strap and just bring it onto the bottom of your feet. That's going to keep them in this dorsiflex position. You can have your feet together and you're going to hold the strap so that it keeps your body upright. So if you feel that your pelvis is actually tipping back, you want to add a little bit more height here. This in itself, you might feel a stretch along the backs of the legs or even in your low back. So there is a line of fascia that begins on the bottom of your foot and goes up the back of your ankle, the back of your calf, the back of your lower leg, your low back, mid back, upper back, back of the head, and all the way to the crown of the head. And so that's what we're doing. We're kind of stretching that line. And this really demonstrates and highlights how the feet and the action of the feet can affect anywhere along that whole back chain. So in this position, you might feel, depending on where your tightness is, you might feel it mostly in the calf area. Or if the hamstrings are super tight, that might be like all the attention is there. You might feel it in your low back. Maybe you feel it more in your upper back or in your neck. So just notice where you're at, and you can certainly stay here. To progress from here, we want to think about tipping the pelvis forward into an anterior tilt, where the hip bones, these two bony protrusions here, start to move closer to the thigh. Not a rounding of the spine, but a tipping of the pelvis forward. From there, you can then let the spine soften. So at some point, you're going to start to feel some tension or stretch in the back. And then to add to that, you can start to walk your hands down wherever on the strap where they might touch your feet. Let your head now drop. Give the weight of your head to gravity. And then you're going to feel that whole back chain all the way to the back of the neck and maybe head. Breathe here. This is passive. And if you want, you can try flexing your feet actively now, pulling the toes towards your shins. And notice how that affects that whole back line, up the chain all the way to your head. And then you can relax that, slowly come up. Good. If you've enjoyed this video and find it helpful, please drop me a like or subscribe to my channel. Also, feel free to put some comments below. I look forward to sharing with you soon.